One of the key jobs of a good real estate broker is to teach you what you can do to your property in order to maximize its value. And you might be surprised to find out that it isn't kitchens and bathrooms. Today, we're gonna walk through one of the listings that I have coming up and give you the full before and after so that you can see what was done, how much it cost, and ultimately what the ROI is. So stick around and we'll go through it in detail and show you what you can do to maximize your ROI. All right, so we're gonna start here in the kitchen. But before we even get into the kitchen, there's a couple things that you need to address, right? Step one is you need to repair anything that's broken. If your roof is leaking or your furnace doesn't work, it does not matter how pretty you make a house, okay? So when I say if roof is leaking or furnace not working, what it does in the buyer's mind is two things. One, it's dollar signs. And it's not real dollar signs, it's typically dollar signs times two. If your roof is a $10,000 roof, a buyer's gonna come in there thinking that it's worth $15,000, $20,000, right? And then you gotta factor in the hassle of doing a roof. So you might have buyers discount the value of the property even beyond that, okay? So repairs, okay? If there's something broke, fix it. Okay. Number two is a good old deep clean. Even the best houses, pretty as can be, people want it to look well maintained. Okay. The perception is their reality. And so having dust, dirt, crappy floors, things like that, you need to have that stuff cleaned up. It's worth hiring somebody to deep clean for you, worth having somebody wash the windows, steam the carpet, things like that. So now that we got that out of the way, let's start in this kitchen here. Okay. So this home is in Westland, which matters because we're not gonna put in a Birmingham kitchen in a Westland house. And for those of you that might not be local to the area, Westland's an average blue collar working class town, average sale price for the area, whereas Birmingham is the top square footage for our marketplace. Now, in the kitchen here, we wanna make it nice for the area, but we don't need to overspend, okay? And so keeping in mind that we're talking about ROI, I'm not gonna have my client put in Merillat cabinets and quartz countertops and marble floors when that's really too much for the neighborhood, okay? In fact, this kitchen here has oak cabinets. These are solid oak cabinets. They're a little bit out of style, right? But they are perfect, sturdy cabinets for a fresh coat of paint, okay? Now, cabinets do get a little bit tricky. I wouldn't be just taking a brush to them, okay? It is something that's worth hiring out if you're not handy, okay? Because ideally we want the doors sprayed, we want the cabinets all done right so that they're uniform, make the space pop, okay? So we're gonna paint the cabinets in here. We'll get to paint for the whole house in general, but it could use the walls could use an update as well. We got a Formica countertop here with a pretty old sink. All could use a facelift. The positive to this kitchen is that it is stainless steel appliances, so we'll be able to keep that. And then you might be able to see in the background, but if I come down here, you can see this gorgeous checkerboard floor. So we're definitely gonna need to do something with this as well. So really though, we're talking about paint and some flooring. Now, depending on your area, I might give you different advice, but there's a great product right now that everyone at most price points seem to love called luxury vinyl tile. Durable, great for pets, waterproof in most cases, super affordable product, pretty easy to install yourself if it's something that you're looking to do. So for the kitchen here, we're talking about paint and floors. Next thing on my list is light fixtures, right? So not just light fixtures, but plumbing fixtures, hardware, things that go in and out of style, right? The fixture above me here is definitely original to the house. And so it kind of screams old and dilapidated. And so for 40 bucks, 50 bucks, we can get a new light fixture that looks even better. And if you're willing to spend a little bit more, because we're in a bedroom right now, ceiling fans. So we'll bring up the look of the house, more contemporary. It'll give it that fresh, clean look for really not a lot of money. Now, flooring is about the only thing that can be original in a house and people actually be excited about it, is these 2-inch oak floors. Everything else, people are gonna wanna see that somebody brought it into the new millennia, right? Ideally into the 2020s, if not more recent. So one of the things, for instance, are these 2-inch moldings, baseboard moldings. Now they come in 3.5 inch. I actually have 5-inch molding in my home, right? So we wanna upgrade the look of the house, replace this molding is a lot cheaper than you might think. Now, if you're hiring somebody and you're not handy, that's where the costs can get a little intensive because it's on a dollar per hour rate, right? But ultimately the molding is very cheap and easy to do yourself if you have the right tools. Similarly, we got these original hollow core flat panel doors. Now, the style now would be a 6-panel, potentially even a 2-panel door. Doors are actually fairly inexpensive. So we can take this home from looking like a 1960s home to a 2024 home very cheaply, and all it requires is a coat of paint. Another thing to look at is how do your tubs look? So I mentioned a deep clean, this one could use it, but some of these stains here aren't from just a cleaning, right? This tub needs to either be replaced, or in our case, because it's a nice sturdy tub, we're gonna have a company come in and reglaze it, which will essentially give it a fresh coat. We'll update the caulk around it, and buyers will love it. Now, despite the floors in the kitchen needing some attention, the rest of the house has these gorgeous 2-inch oak floors. Very common for the age of this home to have these installed. So these are probably original floors, but as you can see, they're in pretty good condition. Okay, so this is going to be one of our selling features. We don't want to cover this up with carpet. We want to highlight how nice these floors are. So I've saved the best for last. You might be surprised to find out that paint is actually the highest ROI thing you can do in a home. Now, the worst thing that you can do when you're updating your home, getting it ready to sell, is have an ego, right? Have an opinion about your style and how it gels. We want mass appeal, okay? So take the ego out the door and be open-minded to making some changes that give a broad perspective to a lot of buyers. This house here actually has a decent neutral color. It's kind of a greenish gray. Now, does it necessarily need to be repainted? No. But we're gonna patch some of the holes, we're gonna give it a fresh coat and give people a great fresh start to a new home. All right guys, so I'm excited to show you the finished product here. Starting in the kitchen where most of the work was done, or most of the major changes was done. The whole house saw new paint, the whole house saw new floor. Starting in the kitchen here, this is the only spot that doesn't have hardwood. It had that checkerboard tile, and so we replaced it with a vinyl plank. Looks great. Super durable. If you got pets, big dogs, things like that, this thing will last forever and looks great. Cabinets haven't been swapped out at all. They've just been painted. White's in right now, so that's what we did. Got new hardware on all of the drawers and doors. We've got brand new granite countertops that were measured to size. New lighting fixtures in most of the house. New plumbing fixtures. Everything looks great. Super clean. And then this backsplash here is actually, I mean, it's basically a vinyl tile, right? It isn't mosaic, it just looks mosaic. For this particular price point, it works for us. It's a great looking product, gives us a good looking finish. And overall, this house is presenting pretty well. So I'll show you some other areas of the house. Bathroom's another area that we were able to spruce up without spending a ton of money, right? And so we got new plumbing fixtures installed, had the tub professionally reglazed, cleaned up the tile a little bit, installed, new shower curtain, new towel bar, and then we got these vinyl tiles that we laid in that are durable, and it's actually right above the existing floor that was here, and so we know that it's still water solid. Other thing to notice, we got these 2-panel doors throughout the house. The whole main level had the hardwood floors refinished, along with new baseboard and quarter round. And so for pretty inexpensive, we were able to update the whole look of the house and majority of the surface area, bring it up to kind of the new standard, if you will. Also added ceiling fans in each room. Nice little extra touch. All right, so you may be wondering, what was the ROI and how much did all of this cost? And that's a great question, and I can't wait to give you the answer. But first, one caveat. If you live in a different neighborhood, the level of finishes may be different. And so it's important that we consult before you spend any time or money on these upgrades, right? If you live in $1 million neighborhood or not even $1 million neighborhood, and there are certain finishes that the buyers in that neighborhood expect, well then you better have those or you're gonna be wasting a lot of money, okay? And so for this neighborhood, we put in finishes that buyers expect and don't necessarily inspect. They're nice touches. And we have to make sure that we match that for the area that you're in, okay? So before we started this project, we were hopeful to get about 220, 225, right? Given the timing of it, didn't necessarily know for sure that we were gonna be able to reach that goals. With about 7 to 8 grand invested in upgrades, and most of which went to the big things, right? Having a professional refinish the floors costs money. Having new granite countertops installed with a new sink costs money, right? But everything else we were able to save on and do it relatively inexpensive. So about 7 or 8 grand of investment, and ultimately ended up north of 240 on this particular property. So a decent ROI, not mind-blowing, but given the condition that it was in before, some of these repairs were necessary just to keep buyer interest, right? If a buyer walks into a house and has too many things that they want to do to the place, they start counting those dollar signs, they start inflating dollar signs, and you're going to be in trouble. So some repairs, some upgrades are necessary just for marketability. Some things really go a long way in terms of adding value. And we made sure that every dollar could be accounted for and at least doubled every dollar that we spent. And so ultimately happy with the end result. I think it looks great. Excited for the new buyer to have a quality home, and on to the next one.